All right, we will get started then. So welcome to the Utilmate MyAccount presentation webinar. The purpose of this is to show you all around the MyAccount how some tips and tricks about how to get the best out of it and what some people are doing well and that sort of thing. So the agenda we'll go through, as you can see on the screen here, we're going to go through first of all the get connected part of it. So that's where customers move in or sign up for your services. We're then going to go into the MyAccount itself. So that's the logged in part of the MyAccount. We'll then have a look at the payments part of the MyAccount portal. So the best way to accept payments from customers. And then the last bit is moving out. So how customers can use the MyAccount to move out. And then I'll hand over to Tracy, who's got some interesting stats and information about usage levels and what customers are sort of doing in the MyAccount. So we've got a whole bunch of information around that as well. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Okay, so the first page I want to show you is the login page. So as a lot of you probably know, Zap is our demonstration sort of brand that we use for these sessions. Excuse me. So obviously, you know, Tracy does a great job in branding and skinning these sites to suit your different businesses. So, you know, for those of you that use them, they're going to be look quite differently for the different brands and that sort of thing. So from this one landing page, you can get to all different elements of the MyAccount. So firstly here, you've got sign in. So as the name suggests, this is where you can log into your MyAccount portal. We've also got a pay as a guest button here, so people can make credit card payments using that part of the portal here. You can register, so people that haven't got a MyAccount login can register for one here. And then going down, we've got get connected. Right, so this is how customers can use the MyAccount to sign up for your services. And the last bit down here is we've got stop your service. So are you moving? You can do a move out or stop your service as well. So those are the key elements. And as I say, all the buttons and the ways to get these to different parts of the portal are all in one place here. Tracy's also done a bit of a mock-up of a landing page or how you could build this into your corporate site. So you want to make the buttons and the different parts of the process available to the customers. So what she's done here is just a bit of a mock-up where you could have a MyAccount or our services or contact us or some sort of way to get to this on your corporate, you know, site, and that links off to a page which might look something like this, right, where you've got access to the different elements of the MyAccount here. So lots of customers have done this in different ways, but essentially this is just an example that Tracy's done up for us as to what it might look like. So if we jump into the get connected part of the MyAccount, all right, so that's this here. So again, you know, the login, the URLs are all available, and you guys can have a look at these after the webinar if you want to as well. But you basically got the main URL with move in at the end of it, right? So the purpose of this is either moving into an existing apartment or site of yours, or signing up someone new into your services. That might just be, you know, a general site out there in the market. So the first thing here we do, if I just refresh this, I've already been through this process once. If we go home, so the first thing you need to do is find your property or site. So what you can do is you can just start typing, right? So you could type in the building name, the apartment number, whatever it might be, and then you get a list of all the different apartments that'll come up. So if I type in big, or these are just sample ones, so big or tall. So here's all the ones in the big apartment building. So you get a big long list here. Equally, I can go apartment 2003. Right now, this is all the apartment 2003. So this is searching every site within your system. So I say I'm moving into the tall office building. Right, I'm going to be moving in as of whatever dates, let's say Friday. As you can see here, I can't put a retrospective date in. All these things around what you allow as far as date restrictions and things like that. We've got customers that do, you know, you can't do a same day move in after 11 o'clock and all sorts of rules. So that's all configurable to be able to do those sorts of things. We say, you know, some standard questions. So does the customer have a life support? Yes or no. Are they a concession card holder? Yes or no. Green power? Yes or no. So some of these things will and won't be applicable to your business. So for example, if you go, well, we don't do anything to do with the concessions, we can easily remove this option from the flow, right? So all that sort of stuff's configurable. We go continue. Again, we start typing in some names, some details. Okay, there we go. I'll make myself really old, shall I? Okay. Go. Put some numbers in, so it's going to ask for my identification, driver's license or passport. Put a number in, expiry date. Yes, I give permission. You can add a second contact if you choose to, right? Husband, wife, that sort of thing. I'm not going to add another contact. I'll go continue. I can choose how I want to receive my bill, so email or post. Right, so I want to say I want it via email. Is my billing address the same? If it is, nothing more. If no, well, it's going to ask you for an address. Now, direct debit. So if we want to go on direct debit, you can go yes or no. So by me going yes, and I'll show you some of the payment portals in a bit, but that takes you through to a payment portal page at the end of it, where you can capture the customer's credit card or bank account details. Right, so that's yes or no, and continue. The last page here, and this is quite important, this is your explicit informed consent requirements for those of you in Australia. You're basically saying, well, what have you just entered in? So you're confirming all that information, and then you are calling out the important stuff that a customer needs to agree to, and that's obviously what are the payment terms, what are the rates they're signing up with. So you're displaying that information. They can obviously link through to your terms and conditions and the extra information, but you're making the important information required for explicit informed consent very public and available to customers. So you're ticking that box as far as the regulatory requirements go. You're not hiding that information away deep down in some terms and conditions document. So you're just going tick that I accept these, I've reviewed all this, and you're going move in. That process, so whereas a lot of utilities and customers out there, that might result in an email through to someone to go and do something, to go and enter that same information into a system. That's not the case here. So this, when I click move in, that is going straight into your system. So it's going straight in, it's available in the CRM. So if you're in the CRM over here, you'll see that customer appear straight away. So there's no lag, there's no double entry, anything like that. It triggers all the welcome letter processes and everything like that. So it's a nice seamless process from a customer point of view. So it's very easy for customers to do. It doesn't result in any double handling for you, which is very important. And it triggers all the automated processes. So we've got customers using the portal at the moment that do 100% of their move-ins through this page. We've got some that do a small percentage or whatever, but it is a very efficient way of moving customers into your apartments, or and a way that it's easy for customers. All right, so that's the other thing just to note on here is you would notice that in the get started, when I searched these addresses, these were ones within my system. We have two modes operating here. We can operate it in the mode you've just seen, or we can do a Google API search. So this is for people that are in more of a competitive market, or they're signing up sites out there in the world. So they're not ones already in your database. So we can operate this in two different modes. Okay, so let's get connected. So let's now assume that the person's got connected. So we'll have a look at the MyAccount portal itself. So as we go back to this page here, this is where I'm going to sign into my account, right? So I've already done that over here, right? So when you sign in, this is what you get presented with. This is your landing page or your dashboard. So the most important things we're calling out to customers is, your balance. So in this case, this customer I'm looking at is, again, it's a demonstration one, but they're all paid up. Right, so that's the most important thing. We want customers to know if they owe any money. From here, you can navigate around and do a whole bunch of things. So for customers wanting to log in, the key things they're going to want to do is and Tracy will show you the analytics around this, is they want to see their balance, number one. They might want to view their invoices. So in my options here, I can come down here and I can go billing and payment history, right? And from here, I can see my entire account history. This customer's got none. I can see my entire payment history here. I can download my invoices. So that's the next thing customers want to see. And the one after that is their usage. So they can actually see a snapshot or the details of their actual usage. And I'll come to that bit in just a second. So if we just step through these options at the top here, the My Dashboard, which is the one we just talked about and went to, so that's your landing page. We can then come into My Details. Excuse me. We can come into my details here. So this here is where people can see obviously some of their key details, phone number, email address, that sort of thing. They can also edit details, right? So I can go and change my postal address, my my phone number, etc. Obviously, we don't want customers putting in rubbish or unverified information in here, so it lets them do it, but it also generates an activity view just to verify that what they've put in looks okay. If it doesn't look okay, you can always revert it to what it was, so no loss. But hopefully they've just given you up-to-date information and ways to contact them, which is great. Next bit along here is billing and payment, and you'll see quite a few options in here. So obviously in a live MyAccount portal, you don't see all these options. We've just turned them all on here for the purpose of this demonstration. Because we have different gateways and different pages available, you won't see all of these things. But the most important ones here, I'll come to the pay my bill shortly, but we've got the billing and payment history, which I just mentioned. It's a full AR history to show all their payments, receipts, everything. It's all 100% up to date, so there's no lag time between what's in the CRM versus the MyAccount or anything like that. As soon as a payment is made, it's in the system. The next one is some billing and payment options. Now these are just more informational in a lot of ways. So you've got a whole lot of content here around how can I pay? All right, so there's different information around how they can pay their bill. They can flick their payment method between email and post, so they can change their payment options, delivery methods. The other things here they can do is set up a direct debit. Right, as you can see here, I've got three. I've got set up a direct debit, standard, easy debit, and Stripe. So if we go and have a look at they all look very similar, but if I go into the easy debit one here, okay, so it goes off. You can see I can basically enter in my bank account details or my credit card details, right? So with our third-party payment portals, either setting up a direct debit or instant credit card payments, we're not capturing or holding any bank account or credit card details. There's a lot of regulatory PCI compliance and other things around capturing those bits of information. So we don't capture them ourselves. We rely on these third-party payment providers who are PCI compliant and have ticked all those boxes. These are their pages. They capture that information. We're just holding tokens as a result of this process. So as a customer, it's very simple. Like this is a easy debit page is one of our payment gateways. You would have no way of knowing, apart from this is some of their legal terms. It mentions easy debit here or whatever. So apart from things like that, you would have no idea that this is an easy debit page or an easy debit piece of functionality here. So that's setting up a direct debit. So again, you enter in your name, you enter in your card details, etc. Me going submit. There's no other actions for a user involved. That's going off to the payment gateway provider, setting up those details. That's getting a token back and setting them up in our CRM. So there's no user action that's required here as part of this process. Equally, if you are with a bank or another payment provider that's not one of the ones that we currently integrate with, you can still set up a direct debit. So I can still come in here and enter in a bank account or a credit card. Right, all that's going to do is that's going to create an activity in our CRM for you to go and do what you need to do, or have a process operating, a third process operating, which goes and sets up that direct debit with your direct debit provider. So you can do it in a sort of a more of a not with one of our payment channel partners. Okay, so that's sort of making a payment. These are the main things they're going to be doing in here. I'll come back to pay my bill in a second. Then you've got special assistance, right? And again, this is just more of a content type page, but you talk about medically dependent, vulnerable customers. You could also add in some hardship information here, things like that. We've allowed customers in here, and this is again a configurable thing, but we've allowed customers to do short invoice extensions. So if they can't pay in the next few days, you don't want to have them call you, go through a process if you're just going to grant them an extension anyway. So they could do a one-off extension for up to X days, in this case 10. On one bill. They can't keep doing it repeatedly, or they can't, these restrictions tend to stop them gaming the system, but the idea is that it's a short-term payment extension that just avoids a phone call and where they don't need to, or it's a low-value phone call. In the usage here, so we've got two bits here. We've got my usage, and the two things we've done is firstly, we have some averages or some comparison totals. So the way they work is Normally, if you're in an apartment building type situation, it's against everyone else in the apartment building. If you're in more of an suburb out there in the market sort of thing, we can do comparisons based on your postcode and things like that as well. Or if for smaller customers, we can do these against your entire customer base as well, right? If the sample size is too small. So the idea is first of all we look at your average daily usage. So at the moment, this customer uses 5 kilowatt hours per day. The average for the building is 5.29. So it's a bit of a challenge, a bit of a one-upmanship on your neighbours. So I'm using less than the average for my building, which is great. And then the other bit we've got here is your average monthly spend, right? So what does that relate to as far as your spend as well? I'll just skip back because some of the data is a little bit older in here. But if I go back to March to April, you can then also drill into your data. So what you can see here is I can see, okay, this is all my daily usage for my site, right? I can even then drill into the day itself. So I can go, okay, within that day, here is what I use. Now, obviously, this is dependent on, to go to this level is dependent on AIM data. Every customer can view their usage information in this graph and in the MyAccount portal, but only those customers that have advanced meters, which are recording data at this level, can go down to this hourly sort of a level. And the last bit you can do in here is export usage as Excel, and that's actually, again, it's a regulatory requirement, and you'll be surprised how many customers actually do it. It's actually something that some people have the time and interest to actually go and do. So that's the usage page. Something that's new, which hasn't actually been released yet, which we're just in the process of betaing it, and it will be available very soon, is alerts. So the idea with these is that customers can set themselves up some alerts. And as an example, we're going to say, well, I want to receive a notification when my projected bill is to exceed last month's bill by, let's say, 50%, or I can, let's say, 100% or whatever, 300%. So they can use the slider to set their own alert. And I want to get that alert by SMS, or I want to get that alert by email, or I want to get that alert by both. So they can set these alerts, and we can come up with all sorts of alerts in here. But at the moment, the ones we've got sort of out of the box that we're working on is sort of a bill forecast alert and a usage alert. So in here, I can go, alert me when my daily usage exceeds my previous day's usage by more than 80%. So if I have a sudden spike in usage, and for whatever reason that might be, it gives me an alert, so I can go and tell the kids to turn the lights off, or that sort of thing. But you can get SMS alerts on these sort of things. So that's something we're just working on at the moment, and will be available soon. But yes, quite an exciting new piece of functionality in the MyAccount. All right, so just keep continuing along here. So we've got some move in and move out functionality as well, and I'll come back to those in a second. And the last bit is contact us. So if they want to contact you about something, right, we can say, look, I've got a complaint. It's about my bill, whatever it is. They can enter that in here, go submit. That doesn't result in an email to you. That results in an activity being generated, which you can see in your dashboard in the CRM. So we want to avoid emails flowing around the place and getting lost. So it's an activity. It has a customer gets a confirmation of that, and then you can reply to them and get back to them as a result of that inquiry. So that's sort of the main functions of the MyAccount here. The next bit I wanted to go into is into the payments. So if we go back to our main agenda thing here, so we've been through the Get Connected, right? How customers do that. We've now had a look through the MyAccount, right? And the main things you can do in that. I'll just say at this point as well, we'll have a bit of a Q&A session just at the end of this. So if anyone's got any questions towards the end, then you can just feel free to pop them, or even if you think of them now, pop them in the chat, and I'll just get to them at the end of the session here. The next bit here is payments, right? So obviously getting paid is important. We all want to get paid. So the first thing is, as a customer, I can, as you would have seen in the menu here, I've got pay my bill, right? So if we go pay my bill, it's going to take me to a page where I enter my credit card details, right? So here we go. Just go and put your credit card details in. I want to pay $100. Pay now. That's going to instantly take that credit card payment, that money from the credit card. Done. Right. We obviously already know who the customer is because they're logged into the portal. We also have what we call public pay now as well. So if we go to this page here, right? So if a customer comes to this link without being logged into the My Account, well, obviously we don't know who they are, so we need to verify who they are. So they do that by entering their account number. Right, so if I enter in that account number and go verify, okay, now we know who the customer is, and they can do exactly the same thing. I can pay $100 to my credit card, the receipt is into the customer, the money's taken instantly. So that is a public pay now. The value of this is that obviously you want as fewer steps and barriers as possible to taking credit card payments. So what we have is when you do your invoices particularly, so you send your invoices out to customers in the email template itself, it's a very, very, very good idea to have a pay now button. And that pay now button just takes them to that same page I just showed you. They don't have to log into the My Account portal or anything like that if they don't want. It takes them off there and they can make their payment. You also want to do that similar pay now, that same pay now button on your reminder letters and other pieces of correspondence that go out to the customer. You want to have it even on your SMS messages. You can create a bit.ly, which is a short URL, which takes them off to that same page. So you want to get customers hitting that page as much as possible and making payments on there. As far as how that works in the background or the different portals. Sorry for jumping around. I'm just going to step back to here. As you see, we've got Easy Debit and Stripe. So those are two payment gateways that we work with in the background. You'll notice when you go to those pages, the actual, the screen itself looks pretty similar, right? It's pretty self-explanatory. You enter your name, credit card number, and go submit or pay now. So it's very similar. The customers wouldn't really notice any difference. If you have another payment gateway or a third party that you're using to take credit card payments like this, we can just do a URL redirect. So if you're using BPoint or a bank or some other gateway, we can always do a redirect off to them as well. So it's not as tightly integrated as the partners that we've chosen to the payment channels we've chosen to partner with here. So you can use other channels, you're not restricted to these ones, but the advantage of this one here is that it's all seamless for a customer and the receipt's gone in. There's no other actions required as part of that. All right. So that's the payments part of it. The next part here is moving out. So if I'm a customer and I'm logged in, here we go. You'll see in here I've got two options, move in and move out. If I go, I'm moving out, right? It's going to say, well, we already know who the customer is, of course, because you're logged in. Therefore, we already know what properties you are responsible for. So we know this person's in unit 204 Evergreen Terrace here. We're going to say, okay, I'm going to move out on Friday, for example. We enter in all the forwarding information that you'd expect, blah, 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 all that stuff, and you go move. It's exactly the same as you doing a move out in the CRM, right? So there's no, it's moved the customer out, it's estimated a final read if needed, it's done all those steps. So it's exactly the same as that. We also create an activity if you wanted to check the move out details or anything like that. So we can do that, but it's essentially a customer has done the move out. Equally, you'll notice on the page here from that Tracy's done up. So we have My Account, we've got a move out here. So if a customer clicked on this move out button here, obviously, well, now we don't know who you are. So we need to verify that customer before they can do a move out. So if I go and have a look at one here, so if you click on this link here without being logged in, it's going to take you to this page here to verify. We're asking for 3 bits of information. You notice on the pay now page, it was just the account number, because the worst you can do is pay someone's bill and no one's going to do that unwittingly. It's the worst you can do. Whereas the move out, you can obviously move someone out of their apartment. So we want to have more pieces of information to verify who they are than just that one. But if I just enter in my account number, got that right. I just need to grab the details here of this one. There we go. So I just need to grab their credentials. Here we go, verify. And now that I've verified, we know who that person is. So now you can proceed and do the move out. The form is, you can see here, is exactly the same as the one that we did when we were logged in. So the process is exactly the same. It's just got that extra step at the start for you to verify who you are. Right. So that's the move out part of it, I suppose. So that's the end to end of the wonderful My Account portal. I suppose I'll hand over to Tracy now, just to spend a few minutes talking about some of the stats and how people use this thing, and then we'll just round up with some other advice and tidbits around the My Account. So you there, Tracy?
Yeah, I am. Thanks. Hi, everyone. Can you put my slide up?
Sure
Thanks,
can.
Mike.
Here we go.
So I've spent a little bit of time looking at the My Account usage, and what we can tell you is that approximately 50% of your customer base are using the My Account. And in the last 30 days of that 50%, 61% of traffic were new visitors, so that could be new customers that you're acquiring, and 39% of traffic are returning visitors. So that's really good information there. And then I just looked at 30, 60, 90-day numbers as well, which are up on the screen. So of your 50% of the customer base that are coming into the My Account portal, I took a look at what are the most popular pages. And as you can see there, Pay My Bill, 21% are going to that page, and fingers crossed paying their actual account. The next two pages that they're looking at are the bill history and usage. So hence on the bill history page, that's another reason why we put on there pay your bill. And obviously 3% of traffic is setting up direct debits. So all really good functionality and purposeful pages for your customers. Then I took a look at what are the popular devices, and no surprise, it's almost a 50-50 split between mobile and desktop, very few people using a tablet. If you are wanting to get more direct information around your My Account portal, or want some to chat to me about it after this meeting, I'm happy to, help you out. Just flick me an email, or you can log a support call. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Tracy, for that those insights. All right, and so just to finish up on a couple of other things. So just to mention some other features or things that people often aren't aware of is that when you're logged in, right, you're logged in as a person, so as a contact in the CRM. So a contact can actually have one or many accounts they're responsible for. So as you can see, this one's only got one, but in the top right hand corner of the screen you might have many here, right? So you could actually have many customer accounts, as you can see the number here, that I'm responsible for and that I can switch over to. The other thing you'll notice is on the usage, a single account can have many sites as well. So again, we've only got one example here, but particularly if you've got power and water, you're going to have different sites listed in here, and you can go between the different sites to view your usage as well. So it's a multi-relational thing like that for the My Accounts. The other thing to be aware of is customers will ring you from time to time and probably need help or get stuck on different things. So to help customers, if you want to log into the My Account as a customer, so you can help them out, troubleshoot, or you can see what they're seeing, on your contact details, so if you first of all go to the customer, on your contact details screen, you've got under details here, you've got something called My Account. So it's as simple as a case of clicking on that My Account. You'll see it pops up a new screen here, and it then logs me in automatically as that customer. So now that I'm logged in as that customer, I can I can navigate around and do exactly what they would. So if they're having trouble paying a bill or seeing something in here or moving out or whatever it might be, you can use that button to help the customer out. The last bit that's useful that some people aren't aware of is in your reports here. So one of your last reports you've got on here is called My Account User Report. So if you click on that and you run it for a specific building or just run it for all, right, it gives you some information around these are all your My Account users. But what it's going to be telling you here is when they were last logged in. So you can put this to Excel, do some filtering. You can see their latest login when they first log in and how many logins they have done. right? So that's quite a useful insight into what's happening on your MyAccount portal. With Tracy's stats, you can also do Google tracking codes as well. So if you've got some Google Analytics or a marketing department with some capability there, we can do more in-depth insights for you in your MyAccount as well. And that's something you just need to talk to Tracy about is after this call or at some point if you want to get into more detail like that. So it's really interesting having a look at these reports and seeing what's happened. What I generally see is you've got high interest customers that use it every month and they're pretty consistently, they get a lot of value out of it. They like seeing the usage and doing all this stuff. You got people that are never going to bother, probably they just don't have the interest or whatever in doing it. But you definitely see some customers and their login counts are quite high. They are just using it like every day almost. There's a real divide in people like that as well. So there's certain people that love it, certain people that just probably got enough things on in their lives and not interested enough to do it. The other thing, a couple of little tidbits or things to mention. So some of those stats that Tracy mentioned were sort of across all our customers and the usage of the MyAccount. Obviously, if you do want to get your usage rates up, there's a number of good ways to do it. The first thing is, registering people. So as a customer, where I can obviously come into here and I can register myself, right? So I can go create a login, it'll ask for my account number and a couple of bits of information. Yeah, so it'll ask my first name, last name, and I can register myself, right? But that's sort of, customers have to be interested enough to go and do that, right? So that's step one, you can just let them do that. We can also auto register people. So when they get connected and they sign up, we send them an email at the same time saying, hey, you've been registered for the MyAccount, why don't you go and check it out? That has a big impact on the number of people that use it. So some customers do that, some don't. The ones that do see a much higher usage rate than those that don't. So that's a key thing to do. The other thing is that you can bulk register your customers and send them a big email. So for those people that turn the MyAccount portal on at some point, and later in their life cycle or whatever, so you've already got a couple thousand customers or whatever and they've already on your systems and they're a customer of yours, you can do a bulk registration event which registers everyone. And it's quite interesting, we get around 30% almost of customers that get bulk registered to go and have a look straight away. It's really interesting that it's that high. So obviously there's a percentage of customers that really get into that sort of stuff. And the last thing you do is promote it, right? So you got a whole bunch of collateral, you got welcome letters, you got treatment notices, you got invoice templates, all these sorts of things on your own websites. The more you promote it and make it accessible to people, obviously the more they're going to use it. So that's obviously a very important part, and obviously we can help you to an extent there, but that's largely your business and your bit to do that. But yes, it does make a big difference. The more you talk about it and have links to it on your different things, the more people will end up using it. All right, so that's sort of the scope and everything that I wanted to go through today with you. Do we have any questions flowing in? Right, got one coming in. All right, just got a question around the URL masking. So you can see at the moment we've got zappy.utilmate.com in the URL. That's fine. You can publish that like that if you want to. Some of our customers have actually masked it, so there's a certificate. You can give us your certificate and we can hide ourselves in the domain essentially. So instead of zappy.utilmate.com, it can become myaccount.zappy.com. So Utilmate itself disappears. Otherwise, we're invisible to customers anyway, but that would sort of just fully make us invisible. So that's something you can do as well if you want. Yep. Another question here I've got is around how people generally do the move in, move out processes. What we've seen is that if you come onto the system here and you're starting from zero, mostly people from day one start using those move in, move out forms that I showed you on here, right? So that's the most common. People that migrate across with already a customer base, they've probably already got some normally email or paper-based forms established, and at the time they're like, well, let's just leave them be. We're sort of happy with them, and that sort of just carries on for quite a while, right? It's just a sort of a if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of an approach. But we would very much encourage, it's a much more efficient process to have, well, good for customers to have them using the move in and move out forms, but also a lot more efficient, no double entry of data, all that kind of stuff, if you can get using these forms. And what we see as well is that even if you are doing it over the phone, you get a customer on the phone, they call you, say how I'm moving in or moving out, even your users using those forms is often very quick and a lot more efficient than even doing it in the CRM or some other process. So we find that we've got customers that do 100% through the move in and move out forms, and customers that do a certain percentage by letting customers do it, and some that do 0%. So it's definitely a big area to drive some efficiency there. All right. Have we got any other questions coming in? Nope, no more. That's okay. I think there's no more, is there, Tracy? Not being blind.
You might be being blind. Do you want to open the bubble called Q&A?
Okay, yeah, sorry, no, I got them here. No, that's all of them. I think we've. Oh,
Are you done all of those?
Hang on, we're just loading up. Oh, sorry, I missed a bunch of questions. I was on the wrong tab. I missed a bunch of questions. So are we recording this? Yes, we are. So Tracy's answered that one. Can the customer alerts be programmed for a lesser percentage? Yes, so those minimum, maximum thresholds that you saw that we had there, yep, fully configurable. So the actual individual alerts you want, yeah, not everyone's going to want the same alert. So of course you can vary them to your business and we can work with you on that one. And also the thresholds, yep, that's all fully configurable. Is it necessary to offer a choice of payment gateway to customers, or is it that only your gateway partner is shown? You don't have to offer any payment channels at all, or any of these pages that you saw in the My Account. Where are we? I'll just dive back to it. Here we go. Any of these pages you see in here, any of these options, we can turn off. So for example, if you don't want customers seeing their usage for whatever reason, we can turn that off. If you don't want to offer pay my bill, you can turn that off, right? So yes, you can fully turn that off, but it's as you saw from the stats Tracy put up, I think it was 21% of customers go to the My Account to pay their bill. You want them to be paying their bill, probably. So yeah. How can I get a payment method set up? If you want to choose any of these payment gateways, so for any of the payment gateways, I'm just showing our CRM here, but you've got an option here called Add-Ons. So this is where you connect up to the different payment gateways. So you'll see in here, you'll see our partners. So you'll see just loading up. So you'll see Easy Debit, you'll see Stripe, etc. They all work that you establish an account with Stripe or with Easy Debit or whatever. So you have to have an account with them, and we just get the API keys to connect up to it, right? So if you want to connect up to Stripe, you click on it, you go connect. You're going to get the keys from their portal and plug them in. And that's how we connect up. But the step one is you need an account with Stripe or with Easy Debit, right? So we, at no point do we touch your customer's money. Doesn't go near us. We don't get our mitts on it. So the money comes from Stripe to you or Easy Debit to you. So it's nothing. You just need an account with them, and we just use your account to connect up. So how do we see what direct debit details they have? So at the moment, when you set up a direct debit, I think, is it in this version here, Tracy? Must be. It will be,
yes, it is.
But this won't be a direct debit customer, will it?
No, I've got one.
Yeah. Oh, you do?
Yeah. Did you want to look at my screen?
Is that your one? No, sorry. But yeah, what you'll see at the top here is you'll see you are already a direct debit customer. Do you want to edit your details? And there'll be an edit button come up. The example I've got here is not a direct debit customer, is why you're not seeing it. But yes, if the customer is already a direct debit customer, they can see that they are a direct debit customer. They can't see their bank account or credit card details. So we're not because obviously we don't store them, so we're not telling them this is the credit card or bank account you've already got set up. We're just saying you are already a direct debit customer. So there's a question here around what happens in the online sign up process if there is still an open account that exists. Good question, great question actually. So in the sign up process, so you notice that I went and picked an apartment here, right? So if there is already an open customer on there, it is going to move that customer out. Right, so if I'm moving into an apartment, we assume that the other person is moving out, right? So it automatically moves that person out for the day before. It's no different to if you're doing a move out in the CRM. So if you're in the CRM over here for a customer, so it's no different here. If I go move in, and there's a customer already living there, it's going to move them out. So it's exactly the same process as here, but yes, it will move out the existing customer. There's also some rules around if the existing customer is an occupier, what date they've been billed up to. So obviously, you know, by default, we normally don't allow retrospective move in or move outs. So that you go, well, you should have told us in advance, but some of our customers do allow retrospective ones, and you just need to be a bit careful about what date you build up to. But again, there's all sort of system validation around that sort of stuff. Is it possible for a customer to move into a wrong address? Yes, it is absolutely possible. And I suppose, yeah, yes, it is possible. We have an onboarding report here. So there's a report in here, onboarding report, which picks up all the customers that have done move-ins. There's probably no easy way to pick it up, but yes, it is possible for a customer to move into a wrong address, just like if you were doing it through the move-in button. I suppose if you're doing it the move-in button, you can ask a few more questions of them to verify, but yes, I suppose it is possible. And then how do you register a one-off customer for MyAccount? So you'd basically be doing it on behalf of the customer. So you would be coming into this page here, register. So you would be just doing it on the portal, just as you would for the customer. Now, obviously, the customer might not, for example, if I go register, yep, so the customer might not know, for example, their account number. So you can go into the CRM over here and you can go and find, you know, their account number and their first name, last name, all that sort of stuff. And then you can enter it in here. Just a secret behind the scenes here is, although we ask for the date of birth, we have a lot of customers that don't have a date of birth populated for all customers. It's not overly common, so it doesn't actually validate on the date of birth. So if I enter it, you have to enter a date in, but it's not going to matter if it's wrong, right? So we do it as a bit of a trick to make people enter a date of birth, but it's not actually going to validate that if it's a right or wrong date of birth, and that's mainly because the population of date of birth is not a huge percentage. So we only really are using these 3 bits of information to establish a MyAccount. The worst case is that if I enter a first name correctly, a last name and an account number, because obviously you can get that from if you've got a bill in front of you from a customer, it's going to send an email to them with their registration details. So even if someone who's not meant to do it does that, it's going to get an email to the right customer, and then you still can't get in if you've done that, if you've not meant to have done it. Okay. All right, so any more, sorry, I missed some of those questions earlier on, but there's a few there. Are there any other questions from anyone? No, great. Right, well, thank you very much for your time and attendance. As I said before, this has all been recorded, so we'll be firing out a link to the recording. So if you want to show other people in your business, or if you're glossed over or glazed over with some of me talking the whole time, then you can use that recording in the future. But thank you very much for your attendance, and we'll talk at the next webinar.